Do we have everybody here?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you Dr. O'Byrne?
I am.
Okay. You've made a request for the cancellation of penalty and interest.
That's correct.
Okay. Go ahead and give us your reasoning.
Okay. So I'm the owner of property at Stonebrook for 32 years. It was new property when purchased. I've been the sole single owner of that property over time. And for much of it, of course, the taxes are paid through escrow. And then once the mortgage is paid off, we start getting the annual bill, which we've gotten in November. And given the option to pay in one lump sum or in 2 installments. I've always chosen to pay it just in one lump sum. Got the notice in November, wrote the check for the full amount, and good for the next year. So I've done that over successive years. So last November, when I got the tax bill, wrote a check. I have carbon copies. On December 3rd, posted it. I thought I was good for a year, except that in the spring I got a notice of delinquent payment. So somewhere along the line, posted, check, never made the whole trip. I don't know if it's I think everybody acts in good faith here. I get my bill, I write my check, I post it. Post office does their best to deliver the mail, and the tax collector office does the best to receive it and credit it. So I'm not sure where to put blame here. I think this is kind of a one-off oddity. And so we got the delinquent notice, walked in, paid the check. Rachelle, sorry, was kind enough to have me meet with Mr. Hansen pretty much right away, explain my situation as I just explained to you, and he set up this meeting, informing me that he was not in a position to waive these, that he's not the appropriate person to do this, and I'd have to come and present my case here. So the principal's paid. I don't know what you have in terms of tax records over time, but I don't think there's been any delinquency on this property ever.
Right, and I don't show that it has been delinquent.
Right.
However, this year it is delinquent.
Right.
Explain your side of it.
So when Dr. O'Byrne came in, taxes were unpaid. We had sent out a delinquent notice, which was a courtesy notice, just letting him know that taxes were not paid for the 2021 tax year, which probably gave him the clue that his payment had not been processed by
Right.
our office. When he came in, he showed us the written carbon copy. However, we never received the payment. He had sent it in the mail. I'd asked him if he had checked his bank account to see if the check had cleared his account, and he said he doesn't do that.
But I keep the carbon copies. That's my way of keeping a record of payment. So if there's a dispute, I have a way to prove that I wrote it.
But you never checked your bank account to see if the check had cleared?
Well, I had over time been doing that. The problem is, given mail delays and all, I can't clear it month by month because resolution sent to companies takes sometimes 2-3 months or sometimes even more. So it's kind of hard to square that month to month. So I've been keeping the carbons as a proof of payment in the situation of dispute.
And unfortunately, Idaho code does not recognize that as proof of payment. A canceled check is proof of payment by standards of Idaho code.
Right. So this is an unusual one-off situation. It's kind of, I don't know. I kind of find it hard to assign fault here to anybody. Got the bill, wrote the check, posted the check. I'm sure we talked to the post office. They say they try to deliver all mail, promptly, and we know that there are errors made there. And I'm sure when the tax collection office gets it, they're really very efficient about that. But as with any institution, nobody's perfect. So aware of this happened along the way. I don't wish to assign blame to anybody. I think this is a one-off oddity, and for that reason, I appeal to you folks for consideration.
So the check has never been returned to sender or?
Nothing. No. Who knows where it is?
We don't know where it
Who
is.
knows where it is?
It didn't clear your account.
Correct. Yeah. So I write these checks, I write them in a bunch. Everything else that went in that batch that was mailed got where it was supposed to go. This piece didn't. Could be a mail-related thing. It could be an institutional receipt and accounting related thing, which is, I think of the three steps that occurred here, I think probably a postal error is probably the more likely of any, but
Yeah.
regardless.
Unfortunately, counties and county commissioners are bound by state statute. I mean, most of what we do is driven by what we have to follow in the statute, you know. They don't give us a lot of leeway. The statute on this, it's 63-1306. Number 2 says proof of payment of property taxes shall be the sole responsibility of the taxpayer.
Hmm.
So I'm a little bit lost.
Well, I can show you
Because I'm
proof
just
that the
like
check,
you.
I can show you proof the check was written,
Yeah,
because I have carbon copies of every check that I write.
but you
So
don't have,
in that sense,
you
well,
don't have proof that it
well, how
was
can I
paid.
prove where the error occurred? I mean,
Right.
I'd have to prove where the, if someone found it behind somewhere in the postal office somewhere and it shows up in 3 months.
But conversely, how do we prove that, that the post office lost it? How do
We can't
how do
prove,
that
we can't
Right.
prove that I had a
Put it in
bunch
the
of
mailbox
bills
and-
and somehow I put in a box and one fell out, this one in particular. I can't prove that the post office had an error along the way. I can't prove that the tax collection office had some type of a mishap of some sort, a flood or something like that. Maybe you can say, well, it's destroyed, who knows what we lost. I mean, you'd have some way of, this is one of those probably one-off oddities that, we just happen to get caught up in. So it doesn't seem fair to blame anybody here, step by step, to be honest with you. But there was a good faith effort by the property owner to pay promptly when the bill was received. Not only that, when the delinquency was received, I walked in and paid it at the desk, the principal, and I'm disputing tax and interest. So anyway, that's where we stand. So, and I understand Mr. Hanson doesn't have the authority to act, and it sounds like you really don't have the authority because you're bound by statute. I don't know if you do or you don't. You have to, I don't know.
we do if we can find an error on the county's part, but other errors upstream.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, because.
I've had I'm almost 70 years old. I've had over time, maybe less than 5 situations kind of like this with other institutions where something was lost. And it's similar to this, who knows, lost in the mail or lost upon receipt. Some of these entities that receive literally thousands and thousands of bits of mail, probably some processing errors occur too. I think it's less likely here, given it's not a huge, operation. That's less likely. I think it's a mail-related issue, but it is what it is.
Unfortunately, I don't feel like it's an error on the treasurer's office.
And I'm not claiming that.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're not implying that at all. It's obviously just a situation where a letter got lost.
Right.
And where it went, we don't know, but I've had the same thing happen.
It'd be really easy if the check cleared your account, because then there'd be proof that the check.
Well, yeah, well
cleared your
then,
account.
if the check cleared the account, then that would indicate it was received and sent to the bank. And it wasn't simply not credited properly. That's an easier problem to resolve. That's an easy problem to
And
resolve.
I imagine
when
that's
it clears the
probably
account.
why the state statute says that proof of payment, proof of intent.
Well, I understand your quandary.
Payment.
I really wish we could help you more, but to be consistent with how you've treated other situations similar, we typically are not able to do anything. Like Commissioner Christensen said, unless we find error, that it wasn't sent out correctly, or that, some error in the treasurer's office or assessor's office. But I just don't see it here.
Early in
Unlike you,
COVID,
there's no error on anybody.
Sorry, Commissioner Reed, early in COVID, there were instances where mail was delayed, and the sender would, send it, and it was 3 months before it shows up.
You're right,
And then
so
that's past
in
due,
the
but
event
because of the
that this
tracking
thing
for
shows
that.
up 3 or 4 months from now, I assume I have a case to come back and have you pay me back the tax and interest that I'm about to pay.
If it's postmarked the date that you stated, yes.
It's a burden of proof, and while, you get a pretty good sense about people, I think you're a very honest person. But that doesn't meet the standard of proof.
I mean, there's no way am I impugning any error on the tax collection office. Although it could have occurred there, who knows? Not very likely, but it could have. Yeah, so I'm not.
Well, there's the possibility that it will show
Yeah,
up.
well, it is. My wife just got a piece of mail that was like 8 months old.
We had piano keys sent off to get
It's
refinished, and
crazy.
they came back 2 years later.
Yeah, I mean,
They found
those
them on a loading
odd
dock in
situations.
Tennessee.
I think it's unfortunate because,
They came back though.
you know, if this were a monthly bill of $40, okay, you suck it up and eat the $5 tax and interest, whatever. But this is a, $5,000 bill and the tax and interest is $500.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, what this means, I have to walk into the office and pay this thing because I don't trust.
Which is also set up by statute, what we have to charge on interest.
No, I know. I mean, I understand the statute.
Right, and if, in the
So-
future, when you're making payment, we do have drop boxes available
I'm
that
gonna
are
walk to the
secure.
darn desk and I'm gonna make you guys hand me a receipt.
And we'll
Thank
be
you.
happy
And
to
you'll
do
be
that.
happy to, and you were happy to do that the other day, and I appreciate that.
See, I've started doing that with the IRS.
Yeah.
Because you'll send something in and then a year later they say, oh, we didn't receive your tax return.
Now,
I said, well, you
the,
cashed the check. Well, please send us another signed,
whatever.
it's frustration.
you get caught up in that, machine, so to speak. But, no, tax office, was very courteous. I appreciate, Rachelle getting me in to see Mr. Hanson right away. He made the appointment here right away. I appreciate all of that.
I wish we had more leeway to help.
No, I understand.
I really do.
And I appreciate your time.
Now,
Are you still practicing?
Oh, yeah, I'm working toward retirement though.
Where? What-
Oh, well, I was at Irmac for years and years. I'm at community hospital now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
One of the doctors that separated from Ermac?
Yeah, I've been away from there only 4 years though.
Oh,
Some had separated earlier. It was a big group of orthopods and GYNs that separated years ago.
What do you do?
I'm, trauma general surgery,
Oh, are you?
trauma program over there.
so can I make a request that, Dr. Oberon pay the amount that when he came in and made payment,
Right.
and we hold the interest and penalty to that date,
Oh, yes.
which was August 3rd,
Yeah, certainly.
so we
Do
can back
everything
we
in
can.
his
Appreciate
payment today.
I appreciate that, so. All right, well, it's one of those situations. You have a tree fall on your house and you end up paying some money even if you got insurance.
I know.
That was a neighbor's tree.
Yeah.
It was hit by another guy's airplane.
All right, well, I appreciate your
Okay.
time. Michelle, appreciate your time.
Thank
Gentlemen,
you.
very good.
Thank
All right.
We don't see you professionally.
Yes, I'll have to think about that, won't I?
You'll get it back